employed at Mid-Penn Bank as a commercial loan documentation specialist, and this is not her first trip to Shippensburg, so let's give her a big round of applause and welcome her back to our show here today. Our show today for each of the breed groups is sponsored by Mechanicsburg Agway. Tim and Mandy Lehman, thank you so much for your support of our show. We also have our show photographer, Renee Zundel from Country House Photography. She's going to be taking pictures of all the livestock shows and events all week, and then those photographs will be available to exhibitors courtesy of Volvo Construction Equipment, so we thank them for their support and their sponsorship as well. Our first class at the table is our Silver Fox Senior Buck, one entry from April Little.
Maybe if I step to the side, I won't have any speaker issues here. So this is a Silver Fox Senior Buck. We're going to give him credit for a good head and good ear. He's just a little low and long in that shoulder. He lacks a lot of width to that midsection down into his lower hindquarter. He just needs a little bit more condition to compete a little bit better. His standing fur qualities, he's a little bit open in coat just from the summer. He just needs to have more of a standing, lustrous coat. His silvering, though, is pretty even from side to side.
Senior there for Silver Fox.
Silver Fox, Senior Buck, first place, April Little. Next class, Silver Fox, Senior Doe, one entry from Olivia Kiefer.
Should I just talk into it, or should I put it on?
Yeah, I would put it on.
Okay, I'm going to turn it off. All right, let's see if this works a little bit better. It's kind of hard to hold a microphone and judge a rabbit at the same time. So this is Senior Doe, Silver Fox. We'll give her credit for a good head and good ear. I'd like to see better silvering on her head to match her body. She might be a younger doe. She has a good shoulder and good midsection. She still is a little bit low and long. I'd like to see more depth of body. She does have width of body down to her lower hindquarter. She has pretty good silvering throughout. She is a little bit stained on the side. I'd like to see more of that standing quality fur on her as well. Okay, so between the buck and the doe, we're going to go best of breed is going to be our Senior Doe. She just has a little bit more condition overall. Our Senior Buck will be best opposite of breed.
Silver Fox Senior Doe, first place to Olivia Kiefer. Best of breed for the Silver Fox also goes to Olivia Kiefer, with reserve best of breed to April Little. Next class, Californian Senior Bucks. 4 entries, Levi Wickard, Olivia Kiefer's Hank, Silas Kiter with Harley, and Silas Kiter with Jet. Once again, Californian Senior Buck to the table. Our best of breed in each breed group will be receiving a banner sponsored by Mechanicsburg Agway. So will our best opposite of breed. And then also they're receiving prizes sponsored by Tractor Supply Company of Shippensburg.
All right. Okay, for our senior buck class here, we're going to go with fourth, an OL, something along those lines. OHL, okay. Looks like a horse brand. I didn't see the H in there. Give him credit for a good head and good ear. He's just low and long in that shoulder. He's soft in body. He doesn't have Springer rib to his midsection. He doesn't have a really strong rise. He's a little bit weak into his lower hindquarter. He does have a good coat of fur on him, though. He's a little bit stained, but he actually, out of the class, has the best texture and density of his coat.
Was that first or fourth?
That was fourth. Yeah, that was fourth. All right. I'm going to go Sway for third. This is a CP 334. This guy probably has one of the strongest heads in the class for a buck. He's just overall narrow in body type. He does have depth, which I do appreciate. He just lacks in that lower hindquarter. He just doesn't have enough fullness and width to that loin down into his lower hindquarter. He does have a good shoulder, pretty good midsection, like I said. He's just too narrow throughout, and he's just really open in his coat. Second today, we're going to go with an OD6. This guy has pretty dark points on him, which I do appreciate for the Californian breed. He has a pretty good shoulder. He has a fair midsection. I still would like to see more Springer rib on this guy. Condition-wise, he's a little bit soft. I'd like to firm him up a little bit. He does have a really wide top. They're really good top line on him. Really good loin. Pretty good hindquarter on him. He's just, again, really open in his coat. First, we're going to go with a MT3. This guy just has the package more together compared to the 4 in the class here. Again, he is a little bit low and long in his shoulder, but I like his Springer rib. I really like his midsection. He has a lot of depth and width to that loin, carries it down into his lower hindquarter. Pretty good head on this buck. Overall, really good condition, good texture and density to his fur.
Californian Senior Bucks, first place, Olivia Kiefer with Hank. Second, Silas Ziegler, Jet. Third, Silas Ziegler, Harley. And fourth, Levi Wickard, OHO. Next class, Californian Senior Does. 3 entries, Levi Wickard, RT. Silas Ziegler, Jim. And Silas Ziegler, Jade.
right, so we have 3 senior does in this class. The third and second place animals, they're kind of yin and yang. So we got one that has depth but doesn't have a lot of width, and we have one that has a lot of width but not a lot of depth. So in a market animal type of class, we want to have a lot of muscle. So even though she has the depth overall, she just doesn't have the width and balance to beat the second place animal. So we're going to go third place with this doe. This is CP297. She might be an older doe. She's looking like she's starting to show a little bit of smut, so that usually is a sign she might be a little bit on the older side, probably a brood doe. She has a good head and good ear. I do like her dark points on her. She's just long and narrow in that shoulder. She doesn't really have a lot of spring or rib. She's a little hollow once she gets out of that last rib up into her loin to the top of her hip down into her lower hindquarter. She is in pretty good coat and condition overall. She just needs more depth to compete anymore. All right, second place we're going to go with this doe here. This is an AT. Again, I like the dark points on this doe. She's nice and clean, which I do appreciate for the Californian breed. Again, she just peaks way too far forward. She has she's just very squared off into that lower hindquarter. She needs to have her high point back farther. Her high point should be over the top of her hip, and it's actually pretty much over that last rib. She has a good strong shoulder and really good spring or rib to her. Again, she just needs to have that high point go back just a little bit farther to be able to balance her body out. But she's in really good coat, really good condition on this doe. Just, she needs a little bit more depth. First place we're going to go with this doe. She is a little bit stained, which, you know, is hard, especially in the summer with Californians. RV22. She has a good head and good ear. She has a good shoulder, really good midsection on this doe. I like her springer rib. She has more width and depth of that loin over the top. I would like to fill her out a little bit into her lower hindquarter, but she's in really good condition overall. She just needs to not have those stains. They're a little bit hard for appearance on her.
Californian Senior Doe, first place, Silas Ziegler with Gem. Second, Levi Wickard, RT. Third, Silas Ziegler with Jade. Next class, Californian Junior Buck. One entry from Levi Wickard, Yank. Silas Ziegler's DJ44 and Silas Ziegler's KH42. Once again, Californian Junior Bucks on the table.
All right, we're going to go this way for the Junior Buck. So third, we're going to go with this guy here. So this is a BJ44. I really appreciate the dark points on this junior buck. That's a really big point on the Californians is the darker they are when they're younger, they're going to remain dark as they get older. If they're light when they're young, they're going to continue to get lighter as they get older. I love the depth of body on this guy. He just runs out of gas after his last rib. He just gets really hollow out of that last rib back. He just doesn't have a lot of depth and width of that loin. He doesn't carry it all the way down to the base of the hindquarter. And on a Californian, the hindquarters is worth 22 points alone. So their body is worth 58 points of the score of the breed. So you got to make sure you have that muscle, you have that firmness of body. He has a good strong shoulder and pretty good midsection. He just runs out of gas. I'm not really going to judge too much on coat and color coat for these guys because they are young, but he has pretty good texture and density so far coming in. Second, we're going to go with this guy here, KH42. Again, this guy has really good color, especially for a junior buck. He just is a little long and lower in his shoulder, so the third place buck has more depth. This guy has more muscle and more width overall, which is why he's beating the third place buck. His high point does go a little bit too far forward. It needs to go over the top of that hip. He has a stronger hindquarter on him. And again, good coat of fur on him for being a junior. First place, we're going to go with a YANC. Even though this guy has some really light points as far as his color goes, he has the best body overall. He has a good shoulder, really good spring of rib, good midsection on him. I would like to see him have a little bit more width over the top of that loin, down into the lower hindquarter, but he has the proper high point for a Californian over the top of that hip. Pretty good condition on him as well. Yes.
Californian Junior Buck, first place, Levi Wickard with Yank. Second, Silas Ziegler, KH42. And third, Silas Ziegler, BJ44. Next class, Californian Junior Doe, 5 entries. Levi Wickard, 549. Rose Wickard, OT2. Rose Wickard, DB. Silas Ziegler, MV23. And Silas Ziegler, GH41. Once again, Californian Junior Does on the table.
Is it? Okay, it's on. All right, so we're going to go this way for the Junior Doe class. We're going to go fourth with OJTNO, or OT, yes, OT.
On to the next one, OT and
Okay. We're going to give this one a fourth. Talked a little bit to the exhibitor about this one. Her high point just needs to be back a little bit farther. She's just a little bit long in body over type. She needs to have more depth to carry her width. She's just low and long in that shoulder. She doesn't really want to pose well for to me today. She has a pretty good springer rib, but again, she just kind of lacks as far as width and depth of that loin goes. She doesn't carry it down into her lower hindquarter, and she's just a little soft in coat from being a junior. All right, we're going to go this way. Third is going to be an MV23. This one just lacks maturity compared to the second place doe. She does have a pretty good top line. I would like to see her high point back, though, just a little bit farther. She is a little bit low and long in that shoulder as well. She peaks a little bit too far forward, causing her to slope off into the lower hindquarter. She has a pretty good springer rib. Her depth of loin is starting to come in, as well as her width. Pretty good points on her so far as a junior. Again, she has pretty good density to her coat, pretty good texture. Again, she's just a little bit soft for being a junior. Second place, we're going to go with the more mature doe, DB. This doe is the biggest doe in the class. However, she just doesn't have a lot of width to carry her any farther in the class. She's just pretty narrow in that shoulder. She doesn't really have a lot of springer ribs, so she's not going to carry that width as she matures. She does have a lot of width of loin, which I do appreciate, as well as depth over the top. She just runs out of gas into her lower hindquarter. Pretty good coat of fur on her, pretty good texture and density coming in. First place, we're going to go with this doe here. She just has the overall body type of the Californian that I desire to see, GH41. She has pretty good dark points. I would like to see her a little bit darker in those boot markings. She has a good shoulder, good midsection. I would like to see maybe a little bit more width of loin over the top, but she has a lot of depth of loin coming in. She carries that width down into her lower hindquarter. Again, she's a little bit soft in her overall coat for being a junior. Okay, so that's, yeah, okay.
Californian Junior Does, first place, Silas Ziegler, GH41. Second, Rose Wickard, DB. Third, Silas Ziegler, MV23. And fourth, Rose Wickard, Otwo. We're now ready for selection of our Californian Best of Breed. We have the winner from each of our senior and junior classes competing for the best of the Californian breeds. And then based on the gender of the one selected, we'll pick best opposite of breed from there.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sometimes I can hear it, sometimes I can't. Okay, nice set of Californians. Just advice to exhibitors for these guys, really keep an eye on their shoulders. So if their shoulders are long as juniors, they're going to continue to get longer as they become seniors. So really focus on those tight shoulders, especially on the Californians. Watch that high point. If that high point goes too far forward, they're going to be flat. So make sure you get that high point a little bit farther back. Based on overall condition, today we're going to go with our senior buck as our best of breed and our junior doe as best opposite of breed.
California and best of breed goes to Olivia Kiefer with Hank, and best opposite to our senior doe, Silas Ziegler's Gem. We're now ready for our Dutch breed rabbits. Dutch senior buck, 2 entries, Clayton Hetrick, 457, Cord Hetrick, 55.
So we're going to go this way for our senior buck Dutch class. CH457. Give him credit for a pretty good blaze on him. It's nice and even on both sides. Good cheeks. He might be a little bit short on his right cheek. Good neck marking. He's a little bit wavy in that saddle. Pretty straight in his undercut. He's just really short in his stops. He just really doesn't have a lot of depth of body to place over the first place buck. He's just low and long in that shoulder. Like I said, his high point's too far forward. It needs to be over that hip. Pretty good chocolate color on him. He's just pretty open in his coat. First place we're going to go with CH55. He is a little bit narrow in that blaze. I actually like the chocolate buck's blaze a little bit better. Pretty good cheeks on him, pretty round from side to side. Good neck marking. Pretty straight in his saddle. He is pretty wavy in his undercut. He has better stops compared to the chocolate buck in second. Really nice rich blue color on this guy. He has that nice cobby body type that we prefer on Dutch. Good shoulder and good midsection on him. If anything, I'd like to see his high point back just a little bit farther, and I'd like to see him a little bit fuller in his lower hindquarter. But really good color and really good condition on him.
In our Dutch breed, senior buck, first place, Clayton Hetrick, second place, Cord Hetrick. Next class, Dutch senior does. 2 entries, Clayton Hetrick with 54 and Cord Hetrick with 46. Up next, we'll be selecting our best of breed for the Dutch, and then we'll be ready for our lion heads.
All right, we're going to go this way for our senior doe class. Second, we're going to go with a CH54. Give her credit for a pretty good blaze. She's just really uneven in those cheeks. She has a drag in her left cheek. Good neck marking. Good shoulder and good midsection on her. She's pretty full in her lower hindquarter. Saddle, her saddle's pretty straight over the top. She's got a pretty straight undercut. Good stops on her. Where she just lacks is her overall body and her cheek marking, especially with that drag. First place, we're going to go with the smaller doe, CH46. She's a good blaze. She is uneven in her cheeks. I would like to see her right cheek come down just a little bit to match, but pretty good angles on those cheeks. Good neck marking. Good saddle. Pretty good undercut, good stops. She's just a little bit shorter in body, which is what I prefer on the Dutch. Good shoulder and good midsection. She rounds really well into her lower hindquarter, and she has a really good, she's a little bit open in her coat, but she has good color. Oh.
All right, Dutch Senior Doe, first place, Cord Hetrick, second, Clayton Hetrick. Now selecting our Dutch Best of Breed.
Yeah. So out of our Dutch, we're going to go with our blue senior buck as our best of breed, and our black senior doe is best opposite of breed.
Dutch Best of Breed goes to Cord Hetrick Senior Buck, 55. And best opposite to Cord Hetrick's Senior Doe, 46. We're now ready for our lion head. First class senior buck. One entry, Victoria Burkholder, Fluffy.
Great, so we only have one senior buck. He is a V6. He's a pretty good head. I would like to see a little bit more width between his eyes. I'd like to shorten up his ears a little bit. They're a little bit longer for the lion head breed. He has a pretty good mane. Good shoulder and good midsection. He needs to have a little bit more roundness of his body. He needs to have his high point back just a little bit farther. He does have a pretty strong midsection, or pretty strong hindquarter, excuse me. I would like to see a little bit more of a break, though, with his saddle. His wool seems to run into between the saddle and the normal fur. There, he's starting to sit a little bit better. He's a little bit stained on the top as well, and he's just a little bit uneven in that saddle. Oh.
Lionhead Senior Buck, first place, Victoria Burkholder with Fluffy. Next class, Lionhead Senior Doe, one entry from Angel Burkholder with Queenie.
All right, so this is the only senior doe in the Lionhead breed. We'll give her first A1. Give her credit for a good head. I would like to see, again, more width between those eyes. She is really long in those ears. Those ears need to be a lot shorter for the breed. She has a good, strong shoulder and good midsection. Again, she needs more depth of body to match her width of body. She does have that line within the saddle, which is what I want to see within the Lionhead breed. I would like to see a better mane on her, though. It's not as full compared to that senior buck. She has pretty good color as well.
Lionhead Junior or Senior Doe, first place, Angel Burkholder with Queenie. Next class, Lionhead Junior Doe, one entry, Angel Burkholder with Amy.
Yep. I only got one Lionhead. And it's Amy.
I used to have a Lionhead.
Really? Yeah. All right, so we got one Junior Doe here. She's ready to be done. A4. All right, we'll give her credit for a good head. Again, she's just really long in those ears, so we need to shorten up those ears. I was talking with the exhibitor a little bit about this doe. So within the Lionhead breed, they're very well known for their mane. So her mane is just too much. So she needs to have more of an actual mane to show off. It kind of blends into her body. The top of this rabbit needs to have rollback fur. So the rollback fur is going to be different versus the wool on the sides. So you can kind of see the wool is kind of all coming together on this rabbit where it needs to have that line or that break between. I want to give credit for this rabbit. It has a really strong shoulder and good midsection, really nice hindquarter. This rabbit rounds really well. We just need to get more of that lion head characteristic on this rabbit. Okay. So we're going to go with, based on the characteristics of the Lionhead breed, we're going to go with our senior buck as our best of breed. And by default, we're going to go with our Junior Doe. She just has a better body compared to our senior Doe within the Lionheads.
Lionhead Junior Doe, first place goes to Angel Burkholder with Amy. Our best of breed for the Lionheads goes to Victoria Burkholder's senior buck, Fluffy, and best opposite, the Junior Doe from Angel Burkholder, sorry. Next class, Flemish Giants, Senior Doe, one entry, April Little with Rain.
This is our only Flemish Giant Senior Doe. Tattoo is Rain. I'd like to see a little bit more width between her eyes, a stronger head, especially for being a doe. She has a good ear, good shoulder, and good midsection. She just lacks overall width to balance her body. She does have width over the top. She does have that nice mandolin type overall with the high point over the hip. She just needs to be a little bit stronger out of her hindquarter. She squares off into that hindquarter. Pretty good color on her. She's just a little bit open in coat. Pretty good ring color as well. So that's it for Flemish. Okay.
Flemish Giant Senior Doe, first place, April Little with Rain. She'll also be our best of breed for the Flemish Giants. Next class, New Zealand Senior Buck. 3 entries, Aubrey Watkins Jack, Aubrey Watkins Merlin, and Levi Rickard also.
Right. For our senior buck class for New Zealand's, we're going to go this way. Third is going to be an FZ32. This guy is just overall flat in body type. He's smaller compared to the rest of the bucks in the class. He might be a younger buck. He just has a flat point over the top of his body. He needs to have his high point back a little bit farther forward. His high point's pretty much at his last rib. He's just a little narrow and weak in that shoulder. He doesn't really have a good spring of rib, good midsection. He's just a little bit narrow in overall body type. He doesn't have the fullness of loin that carries down into his lower hindquarter, and he's pretty open in coat. But he's very clean. All right, second we're going to go with this guy here. This is Olson. I was like close. What was it? Olson. Okay. Olson. It looked like an O, and then you had like a parenthesis, or not, like a, I don't know. All right. This guy actually has a really good head for a buck. He's just long and low in that shoulder. He's pretty narrow in that shoulder. He needs to have more width of body. His high point needs to be back just a little bit farther forward. He gets pretty strong in his lower hindquarter. He just squares off over the top. He has the best coat out of the three bucks here. I just wish his body was a little bit better. With New Zealand's, we got to make sure we have really strong hindquarters, really strong shoulders. First place we're going to go with this guy, we're just going to give him the benefit of the doubt on his coat. It's ODIO, or OD10. Give him credit for a good head and good ear. He, again, is a little bit low and long in his shoulder, but his high point is at the correct position. It's over the top of his hip. He has some really good width and depth of that loin that carries down into his lower hindquarter. He's just very open in his coat, which spoils the condition of the rabbit, but he has the best top line compared to the three.
Yeah, that one, yeah, this one here. Can you handle that?
I'll stay with him when you get here on.
New Zealand senior buck, first place Aubrey Watkins with Jack. Second, Levi Rickard, also. And third, Aubrey Watkins, Merlin. Next class, New Zealand senior doe, 5 entries. Aubrey Watkins, Luna. Aubrey Watkins, Nora. Levi Rickard, Money. Rose Rickard, Baby. And Rose Rickard, Roots. Once again, New Zealand senior does on the table.
so we're gonna go this way with our senior does. Fourth place, we're gonna go with money. That's there's 5. Oh my gosh, I totally missed that one.
You said she did.
Turn that off. Let's start this again. Okay, so we're still gonna go fifth with this doe here. It's money. Even though I really like her tattoo. She's really long in body, so she doesn't have a lot of width to carry the length that she has in body. She's just low and long in that shoulder. She doesn't have any spring or ribs. She just kind of flat lines from her shoulder all the way back, where she needs to have a broader rib to be able to carry that width and depth of body overall. She's just really long and angular in that top line. She doesn't have a lot of width down into that lower hindquarter. She does have a pretty good coat, pretty good texture and density to that coat. Again, she just needs to open herself back up. She needs to have more width of body. Fourth place, we're going to go with this doe here, Roots. Roots has a nice pretty head for a doe. Again, she's just a little bit low and long in that shoulder. Again, she has more width compared to that fifth place doe, more width of that loin. She just needs to add more depth of that loin to carry into her lower hindquarter. She also has a pretty good coat and pretty good flesh condition on her as well. All right, third, we're going to go with this doe here. So an E001. E001, I like the top line on this doe. Her high point's pretty close to where it should be as far as over the hip. Again, she's just low and long in that shoulder. She has that flat spot that carries from her last rib all the way back. She needs to have a little bit curvature of that spine. She does have some pretty good width down into her lower hindquarter. She's just very open in her coat. All right, second place we're gonna go with this doe here. So her name is, or her tattoo is Baby. I really like the condition on this doe. She's just too soft. So with New Zealand's, we really need to have really hard flesh condition, really hard muscle on them because they are a meat project or a meat animal. I really like the head on this doe. Again, she's just a little low and long in that shoulder. She does have a really nice spring of rib. Where she lacks for me is just the depth overall. Her high point's a little bit too far forward. She needs to push it back. She's a little squared off into her, over the hips, down into her lower hindquarter. She needs to have some more width overall. She has the best coat and condition out of the class though, hands down. We're going to place this doe first based on her muscle overall. This is an FZ31. She's the smallest doe in the class. However, she has a lot of muscle that she carries from the front end to the very back end. She has a good strong shoulder, good spring of rib on her, really good depth and width of loin over the top. Her high point's pretty close to where it should be. She carries that width down into her lower hindquarter. If anything, I'd like to just make her a little bit bigger. I'd like to give her a better coat. It kind of spoils her condition just a little bit, but she has the best muscle overall compared to the class.
New Zealand Senior Does, first place, Aubrey Watkins, Luna. Second, Rose Wickard, Baby. Third, Aubrey Watkins, Nora. Fourth, Rose Wickard, Roots. And fifth, Levi Wickard, Money. Next class, New Zealand Junior Buck. Aubrey Watkins, LB12. Aubrey Watkins, NZ11. And Levi Wickard, L3. Junior Buck, New Zealand's on the table.
All right, for this junior buck class, we're going to start with this little guy here. It's going to be an NZ11. He's just pretty low and long in that shoulder. He does have a pretty good springer rib. He hollows out over his top. He does have the correct top line, however, he just lacks a lot of width out of lack in fullness over that lower hindquarter. He just has that baby coat right now. Second is going to be an LB12. He just lacks the overall maturity compared to the first place buck. I do like the top line in this rabbit the best out of the class. I think he has a really good shoulder, really strong midsection. He does have a really correct high point. I would like to see a little bit more width and depth of that loin. I would like to see him a little bit wider out of those pins into his lower hindquarter. And again, he just has that soft baby coat coming in. First place, we're going to go with the most mature in the class, L3. I would like to see a little bit more width of body on this guy, but he has a pretty strong shoulder, really nice midsection, really good springer rib on him. I would like to see a little bit more width of loin, but I do like the depth of loin that he's starting to show. He does have fullness into his lower hindquarter, and again, he just has that soft baby coat. He's just pretty coarse in texture right now. So he can stay. Yep.
New Zealand junior buck, first place Levi Wickard, L3. Second place Aubrey Watkins, LB12. And third place Aubrey Watkins, NZ11. Next class New Zealand junior does on the table. Aubrey Watkins, FZ46. Aubrey Watkins, LB11. And Levi Wickard, 865. Up next, we'll select our New Zealand best of breed.
So we're going to go third place with this buck here, or sorry, doe. This is LB11. We're just discussing a little bit as far as what you're looking for as far as a meat pen goes. You're looking for a lot of muscle, you're looking for width of body, and you want to look for uniformity. So there's differences between these two junior does. They're not in relation, but they probably have similar genetics. So this doe has a good head and good ear. She's just long and narrow throughout. She has a really narrow shoulder. She doesn't have a lot of spring in that rib. She needs to open her body up a little bit. She's very narrow in that top of the loin. She doesn't have a lot of width and depth of that loin. She doesn't carry the width down into her lower hindquarter. And she just has just that soft baby coat currently. All right, between these two here, we're just going to go on a structural difference between the two. We're going to go with this doe as second. It's going to be 865. Even though this doe is the bigger doe in the class, structurally she just has some issues that we need to fix. She's just really low and long in that shoulder. She doesn't have a lot of depth of her body. Her high point goes way too far forward. She just squares off into the top of her hip down into her lower hindquarter. She's just a little bit raw in texture overall. She needs to add a little bit more finish and a little bit more muscle, but she does have really good texture and density to her coat for a junior. And first place, we're going to go with this doe. Even though she's a little bit on the smaller side, she has a correct body type for me right now. She has the most amount of muscle. This is an FZ46. FZ46, she has pretty good head and good ears. She has a really strong shoulder, really nice midsection coming in, pretty good spring of rib. I like her depth and width of her loin. She carries that width down into her lower hindquarter. And she's a little bit soft in her baby coat, but really good flesh condition on this doe.
New Zealand Junior Doe, first place, Aubrey Watkins, FZ46. Second, Levi Wickard, 865. And third place, Aubrey Watkins, LB11. We're now ready to select our best of breed of the New Zealands. We have the winners of each of our senior and junior classes being evaluated, and once they're selected, we'll pick from the opposite gender for opposite of breed. Mini Rex, you're up next. Mini Rex Rabbit exhibitors, you're up next. Once again, our breed winners are receiving banners sponsored by Mechanicsburg Agway, Tim and Mandy Lehman. They're also receiving prizes from Tractor Supply Company of Shippensburg. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors, and a big thank you to our sponsors.
I think this is, okay. Really nice set of New Zealand's. It was nice talking to the exhibitors about, what you're looking for in a New Zealand breed, and especially if you're going to use them for a market project. We're going to base this off of just maturity overall, even though I really like this junior doe, and I'm excited. If I come back in a couple years, I'd love to see what she looks like as she's mature. But we're going to go with our best opposite of breed as our junior doe. She just needs to grow up a little bit more. Our senior buck is going to be our best of breed.
Best of Breed New Zealand goes to Senior Buck from Aubrey Watkins. Jack, Best Opposite goes to the Junior Doe, also Aubrey Watkins, FZ46. Next class, Mini Rex, Senior Bucks, 3 entries, Emma Wagner, Tippin, April Little, Onyx, and Brandon Burkholder, Cottontail.
For Mini Rex Senior Buck class, we're going to go third with this Broken Black Otter buck here. It looks like it's an N or HM1. Close M. Okay. Okay. Give him credit for a pretty good head. I'd like to see some more covering over his ears. His ears are a little bit thin in texture. Pretty good shoulder on him and good midsection. Where he lacks is he just has a flat point over the top of his hip. He lacks fullness over his lower hindquarter. He's just pretty coarse in his overall texture. He's a little spoiled, a little bit stained on the side here, and he's just a little bit open in coat. Second place, we're going to go with the black buck here. This is a K10. I give him credit for a fair head. I'd still like to see a little bit more width between his eyes. I'd like to see some more fur covering over his ears. He has a good shoulder and good midsection. Again, he just has a flat point over the top of his hip. I'd like to see some more curvature of body of this buck. Pretty good loin on him. He has more fullness to his lower hindquarter. He's just a little bit open in coat, but compared body versus fur, the body's worth just a little bit more points compared to fur on the Mini Rex. First place, we're going to go with this smaller broken castor buck. His name is Tippin. Give him credit for a good head and good ear. good shoulder on him, really good midsection. I would like to see his high point back just a little bit farther. He does tend to slope a little bit out of the top of his hip down into his lower hindquarter. He does have fullness, though, however, in his lower hindquarter. He is a little bit coarse in texture. I'd like to see a little bit more density to that coat. Pretty good color.
Mini Rex Senior Buck, first place, Emma Wagner with Tippin. Second, April Little with Onyx. And third, Brandon Burkholder with Cottontail. Next class, Mini Rex Senior Does. 7 entries, Trinity Pierce, Mocha. Trinity Pierce, Vampire. Victoria Burkholder, Anna. Angel Burkholder, Polly. Emma Wagner, Lola. Emma Wagner, Maria. And Brandon Burkholder, Roxy.
right, so we have, is there 7? 6. 6 senior does for Mini Rex. We're going to go with this one as our 6th place doe. This is B9. She's just a little snipey in her head. She needs to have some more width between her eyes. She does scissor in her ears. Her ears need to be more together. She needs more fur covering on those ears as well. She might be an older doe. She's just low and long in that shoulder. She doesn't have a lot of spring in that rib. She needs more depth of body to carry her width to carry up her any further in the class. She's just pretty spoiled in her coat. She's pretty stained along the sides. She's just very open and coarse in texture. All right, we're going to go with this doe as our 5th place, so EW3. EW3, I still would like to see some width between her eyes. She has a better, stronger ear. I'd like to shorten up her ear a little bit if I could to balance with her body. She has a good, strong shoulder and good midsection. She just has a flat spot over the top. She squares off into her lower, over the top of her hip into her lower hindquarter. She has a better coat of fur. She just lacks finish over that top. She's a little bit coarse in overall condition. We're going to go with this doe here as our 4th. Yes. A3. I like A3 as far as her coat condition goes. She has a really nice smooth coat. She has a little bit open and blotchy in the front half of her coat, but she does have a really, really nice coat. What she lacks today is her body. She just peaks too far forward. She has a flat spot over her top. She just doesn't round into her lower hindquarter. She's a little bit narrow in that head, longer in her ear. It just doesn't balance with her body overall. And she's a little bit darker in her color, especially for her chin. We're going to go with this doe as our 3rd, B3. Again, she's a little snipey in her head. She needs to have some more width between her eyes down into her lower muzzle. She has a pretty strong shoulder and good midsection. She has a lot of width over her body. She just lacks a little bit of depth. She, again, peaks a little bit too far forward. It causes her to slope out into her lower hindquarter. She just needs more width down into her lower hindquarter. Pretty good coat on her as well. She's a little bit open, a little bit stained, a little bit sun bleached on the side. Even though this doe's coat is kind of a mess right now, I really like the body type on this doe, which is why she went up into the 2nd hole. This is KAD 857. Really nice, strong head on this doe. Really bold eye on her. Good ears to balance with her body. Really good type. Again, it's just her coat. If she had a better coat and wasn't spoiled along the sides and had that staining, she would probably be winning this class as far as her overall body type goes. Really strong shoulder on her, good midsection. If anything, I'd like to make her a little bit wider from that last rib back. She gets a little bit hollow after her last rib. But yeah, if she had a better coat, she would probably be pretty close to the top. All right, and this doe is just the most balanced in the class. This is V5. A pretty strong head on her, pretty good width between her eyes. Again, I'd like to shorten up her ears a little bit to balance with her body. Pretty strong shoulder, good midsection on her. She just has most of the pieces together compared to the 2nd place doe. She just has a better coat, better body. She's a little bit open in her coat, and she is a little bit stained on the sides, but she has the best texture and density to her fur. All right, so the
Mini Rex Senior Doe, 1st place, Trinity Pierce. With Mocha, 2nd, Emma Wagner's Maria. 3rd, Brandon Burkholder, Roxy. 4th, Angel Burkholder, Polly. 5th, Emma Wagner, Lola. And 6th, Trinity Pierce, Vampire. Next class, Mini Rex, Junior Bucks. 4 entries, Trinity Pierce, Bambi. Trinity Pierce, Chip. Emma Wagner, Bumper. And Brandon Burkholder, Bam Bam.
All right. For this junior buck class, we're going to start in 4th, T3. This guy's just, he's just really young and immature as far as this junior buck class goes. He has a pretty good head. He actually has some width between his eyes, which I do appreciate, especially being as young as he is. Pretty good ear on him. Again, there might be a little bit long to balance with his body. Good shoulder and good midsection. Where he lacks is just his hindquarter. He doesn't have a lot of width between those pins down into his lower hindquarter. He doesn't have a lot of muscle. He's just pretty weak in his flesh condition right now. Pretty good color coming in. He's just a little bit coarse in overall texture. Okay. Third, we're going to go with T4, this Harlequinized Mini Rex. We'll give him credit for a good head and good ear, good shoulder on him again. He's just a little bit long and narrow throughout. He peaks a little bit too far forward, causing him to slope off into the base of his lower hindquarter. Pretty good texture and density on his coat coming in, though, and really pretty color. All right, second, we're going to go with this guy here. This is a B1. He's a little bit snipey in his head. I would like to see some more width down into his lower muzzle. Really good ear on this guy. Good strong shoulder and good midsection. Where he lacks and he runs out of gas is after his last rib. He just narrows out after that last rib. Pretty narrow over his loin. He peaks too far forward again, causing him to slope. He's the most mature buck in the class. He's just a little bit open in his coat and a little splotchy on his color. In first place, we're just going to go with this guy here. This is EW11. He's pretty young, but he has pretty good type starting to show. Good head on him, really good ear. Good strong shoulder, good midsection again. He does peak too far forward. I would like to have his high point just back a little bit further. But he has more width and depth of body overall. He's starting to show a little bit more width into the base of his lower hindquarter. His coat condition, he has pretty good texture and density. He is a little bit coarse along the sides. He's a little bit stained, but overall good flesh condition on that guy.
Mini Rex Junior Buck, first place, Emma Wagner, Bumper. Second, Brandon Burkholder, Bam Bam. Third, Trinity Pierce, Bambi. And fourth, Trinity Pierce, Chip. Next class, Mini Rex Junior Doe. 2 entries, Emma Wagner, Pebbles, and Emma Wagner, Snowball.
All right, we got 2 junior does in this class. Second place, we're going to go with EW10. This doe is just longer in overall body. I really do appreciate the fur on this doe, though. She is a little bit open over the top out of her lower hindquarter. However, she has really nice texture and density to that coat. She also has a really nice color. Again, she's just low and long in that shoulder. She has a good midsection. She's just long in body. She needs to have some more depth to carry that width. And I really like this junior doe here, EW15. This doe is very balanced when you get her posed. She has a really strong shoulder, good midsection on her. If anything, I would like to maybe put her high point back just a little bit farther forward to balance her out a little bit better. But she has a lot of width of that loin, carries that width down into her lower hindquarter. She's a little bit open in coat as well over the base of that tail. Really good caster color on this doe. Yeah, really nice type on this junior doe. And
Mini Rex Junior Doe, first place Emma Wagner's Pebbles, and second Emma Wagner's Snowball. We're now ready for Mini Rex Best of Breed. The winner from each of our senior and junior classes will pick our Best of Breed for the Mini Rex, and we'll pick a Best Opposite of Breed. And then we're on to the Satins. So Satin exhibitors, you're up next.
Thanks for bringing me quite a few Mini Rex to judge. I had a lot of fun judging the Mini Rex. Today, I'm actually going to go with based on balance overall and overall condition of the rabbit. Even though the buck is more mature, I really like this junior doe. So the junior doe is going to win Best of Breed. The senior buck's going to be Best Opposite of Breed.
Best of Breed in the Mini Rex goes to Emma Wagner's Junior Doe Pebbles. Best Opposite goes to Emma Wagner's Senior Buck Tippin. All right, we're up to our Satin breeds, Satin Rabbits. One class, Senior Does. We have an entry from Cameron Mather, Alfie, and an entry from Taylor Wagner, Cookie. This is the only class of satin, so up next, Himalayans. Our Himalayan breeds, you are up next.
All right. Okay, so these are the only two satins in this class. And in the breed, Second place, we're going to go with an RR Alfie. Alfie has a lot of depth of body, which I do appreciate on this doe. She just lacks a little bit of width overall. She's a little bit coarse in her texture as far as the satin goes. She does have a little bit of sheen starting to show, which I do appreciate within this breed. She's just, again, she's a little bit stained on the side, which adds coarseness to that texture. For a satin breed, you basically want to be able to run your hand back over that fur, and it feels like a cloud. So she's just a little bit coarse in overall texture. Really good condition on this doe, though. All right, she is good to go. First place, we're going to go with a W32. This doe is a very well-balanced doe overall. She has a really nice head, really strong ear on her, good shoulder and good midsection. She fills really well from her last rib back over the top and the depth and width of that loin. She carries that width down into her lower hindquarter. If anything, she is a little bit open in her coat. She is slipping it just a little bit, but she has really nice texture and density to that coat overall. Really, really nice condition on this doe. Okay.
Satin Senior Doe, first place Taylor Wagner with Cookie, and second Cameron Mather with Alfie. Taylor's Cookie will also stand as our best of breed for the Satins. Up next, our Himalayan Senior Buck, 2 entries, both from Ellie Fulton, Chicken Wing and Whiskers.
All right. Next, we're on the Himalayan breed, so we're going to start with our senior bucks. So second place, we're going to go with an ER8. This guy's just a little bit rough in overall flesh condition. He just lacks a lot of cover over that top. Give him credit for a good head and really nice ear on him. Good strong shoulder. He just lacks in his overall midsection. He narrows out after that shoulder. If you would want to sit correctly for me. Yeah, he just lacks a little bit of that midsection. He's really rough over those pin bones down into his lower hindquarter. Really good boot markings on him. Pretty nice and even. Even markings. Really nice color on this guy. First place, so we're going to go with ER6. This guy's just the most balanced overall. Really good condition on this buck. Again, he has a pretty good egg marking. Good ear on him, good shoulder. He just flows really well into his midsection. He's nice and full over the top of that top of that hip down into his lower hindquarter. Really good condition on him. I'd say the second place buck maybe has a little bit better color. However, his condition beats that second place buck.
Himalayan Senior Buck, first place, Ellie Fulton. Chicken Wing, second place, Ellie Fulton. Whiskers. Next class, Himalayan Senior Doe, one entry from Evan Fulton. Sniff.
All right, really nice senior doe. I wish she had more competition here. Really nice face marking on her. Really strong color points on her, especially. Strong shoulder, really flows well into that midsection. If anything, I'd like to see a little bit more curvature from that, from the hip down into her lower hindquarter, but she's nice and full in that lower hindquarter. She just is a little bit angular. I'd like to see her a little bit more steep off of that hip down into her lower hindquarter. Really good condition on this doe. Really strong color as well, really dark points on those boots. Right. Okay. Oh, I guess we can put her down there. I'll grab her.
Himalayan Senior Doe, one entry, Evan Fulton, first place with Sniff. Next class, Himalayan Junior Buck, two entries, Ellie Fulton with Cracker and Evan Fulton with Lightning.
We're going to go this way for this junior buck class. So we're going to go second place is going to be ER 15. I was back and forth between the two of these guys. I wonder if they're probably somewhat related in some sort of way, but this guy's just a little bit narrower throughout. He just has more of a narrow shoulder. It's pretty narrow into that midsection. He doesn't have a lot of width and a lot of top. He's a little narrow over those hips down into his pins. Pretty good color on this guy. He may be a little bit lighter in his boot markings. Then our first place is going to be ER 13. Yeah. This guy just has a little bit more width overall. He's a little bit more smoother in his body transition from his shoulder all the way down to his lower hindquarter. Pretty good strong shoulder on him, good midsection. He's nice and smooth from that shoulder all the way back down to the hindquarter. Been doing a bit to clean up his egg marking just in the front. Pretty good color. I'd like to see it maybe a little bit more bolder on those boots.
Himalayan Junior Buck, first place. Evan Fulton with Lightning, and second, Ellie Fulton with Cracker. Next class, Himalayan Junior Doe, 4 entries. Ellie Fulton's Chocolate and Ellie Fulton Marshmallow. Evan Fulton Cherry and Evan Fulton Rex. After this, we'll be ready to select our best of breed for the Himalayans.
All right, for this junior doe class, we have 4 entries. Fourth, we're going to go with ER14, it looks like. She's just a little bit overall rough in her body condition. She's just not smooth transitions from her shoulder all the way back to her hindquarter. She has a pretty good color to her. She is a little bit frosty at the tip of her ear, or at the base of her ears. She has a good shoulder, good midsection. Again, her transition between her midsection back to her hindquarter is just, it's not straight, it's not level over that top. I'd like to give her some more width between those pins down into her lower hindquarter. She's just a little bit light in her overall boot markings.
Okay, and then you can put Sherry back. I'll put her back. You stay up there.
Third place, we're going to go with an ER22? 12? Yeah, it looks like 12. Again, this one just, I would like to see a little bit better transition as well. Like to see some more length of body on this doe. She has a good head, and she has a pretty good ear. Again, she's a little bit frosty at the base of those ears. Good shoulder, pretty good midsection on her. She does transition well. It's just when she gets back to those pins, she's just a little bit weak and a little bit not as much fullness over those hips down into the base of her lower hindquarter. This doe's a little spicy. She has a little bit better color compared to that 4th place doe. She is just a little bit light. She goes a little bit further forward up into that boot marking as well. Yeah. We're going to go with this way with these does. ER, is this a 12? Maybe it's an 11. It's one or the other.
If we put that's recent.
That's 11. Okay. All right. So this is going to be our 2nd place doe here. The biggest difference between these 2 does is just the width out of the base of their hindquarter. I like the width of this doe's hindquarter. This doe is a little bit pinched out of her lower hindquarter, whereas this doe is a little bit more level and a little bit more wider out of that hindquarter. They do transition really well from that shoulder all the way to the midsection. The color is also pretty similar. Yeah, this doe just has a little bit better color compared to that 2nd place doe. This doe is a little bit more frosty in her color overall. Right. Okay.
Himalayan Junior Does, 1st place, Ellie Fulton with chocolate. 2nd place, Ellie Fulton marshmallow. 3rd place, Evan Fulton with Rex. And 4th, Evan Fulton with cherry. We're now ready to select our best of breed for the Himalayans and our best opposite of breed.
Oh, there we go. Very nice Himalayan group here. I like judging the Himalayans. They're a little bit different than other breeds. They're the only cylindrical breed other than Czech Frosties just came in, and they look somewhat like cylindrical, but the Himis are really fun to judge. Based on condition today, I really like the senior buck. This is tough because there's a lot on the markings and then on condition as well for them. I think I'm going to go today. My junior doe is going to be my best opposite of breed. And even though the condition on the senior buck is a little bit coarse, he might be an older buck, I really like the body type on that buck. I like his marking, so we're going to go with our senior buck as our best of breed.
Best of breed for the Himalayans goes to Ellie Fulton, senior buck, chicken wing. And best opposite goes to Ellie Fulton's junior doe, chocolate. Once again, all of our banners are sponsored by Mechanicsburg Agway, Tim and Mandy Lehman, and our prizes are sponsored by Tractor Supply Company of Shippensburg. So congratulations to our winners and thank you to our sponsors. All right, next group up is our other purebred breeds. We have a senior buck class, 2 entries. April Little with Winter, and Colin Roberts. Seriously, Colin? Sir Butchie Von Whitney MC Fool. As your very first time in the show, and you don't get to have names like that, ma'am.
Okay, so there's only 2 for our all other breeds class. So this one, that's characteristics of a Netherland dwarf. We're going to put this one in second. It's going to be a W something R. Okay, yeah. So we're going to give him credit for a pretty good head. He does have some width between his eyes. I really like the thickness of his ears, especially for a dwarf. He's just a little bit open in his ear. His ears need to be more together. They need to be a little bit smaller to balance with his body overall. He has a good strong shoulder. He's just narrow throughout. He just peaks too far forward. His peak needs to go a little bit farther back, especially for an upright breed like the dwarf. He needs more fullness into his lower hindquarter. Pretty good flesh condition on him. Pretty good color as well. Yeah, he just needs a little bit more width throughout to be able to balance his body. First place, we're going to go with the Dwarf Hotote. So BC2. BC2 is actually a pretty good body type. Good strong shoulder, good midsection. If anything, I'd like his high point to be a little bit farther back as well. He just kind of picks a bit too far forward, but he does have more width throughout to his lower hindquarter. Pretty good head, a fair ear. I'd like to see him a little bit stronger in his ear. He does scissor a little bit when he gets a little nervous. His eye circles are a little bit uneven. I'd like to see they're a little bit light on the right side, a little bit heavier on the left side. They're just not even throughout.
Keep this one up here. Yep, up there.
Other purebred, senior buck, first place, Colin Roberts. You're going to make me say it again. Sir Butchie Von Whitney MC Full. And second to April Little with Winter. Next class, other purebred breed, senior does, 4 entries. Victoria Burkholder Snuggles, Becky Killick Betty Lou, Becky Killick Browse, and April Little Alex. Colin, you see how short those names were?
Okay, so for this class, we're going to start this one as fourth. She's an FL, so this is a Netherland Dwarf Himalayan. She has a pretty good head. She's just very thin in her ears. She scissors in those ears. She might be an older doe. She's just very, very soft in overall texture. Her flesh condition, she's just very, very soft and out of condition. She does have a good shoulder and good midsection. She just is overall flat in type. She just needs to have some more curvature of her body. She needs more width over that hindquarter. She does have a strong front end, though. She does have some width between that front end, which adds that width between the shoulder. Pretty good coat on her, and really nice for the Himalayan. All right, we're going to go with this doe as our third, our missing eyeliner girl. BC1. So this is a dwarf Hoto characteristic doe. She's done for the day. She's just really big in her overall type. I mean, she'd definitely be disqualified in a dwarf Hoto class. She's more of a broodier type of doe. She has a pretty good head and good ear. She's missing the eye circles on that left eye. She does have a really good body, though. Good, strong shoulder and midsection. Really fullness, a lot of fullness out to that hindquarter. Pretty good coat of fur on her as well. Again, she's just missing the eyeliner for the dwarf Hoto breed. All right, we're going to go with this dwarf Hoto as our second place, just based off of overall condition and breed characteristics. HH45. We're going to give her credit for a really nice head, really strong ear on her. I like the fullness of that ear. They are an open ear, which is what you want to see on the Netherland Dwarf breed. Good shoulder on her and good midsection. Where she laxes over her hindquarter, she's a little bit raw over that top. She needs to have some more fullness over that hindquarter. Have a couple straight hairs within her color. She is an otter. Yeah, she just needs to have a little bit better color overall. And she just needs to have overall a little bit more flesh condition. And our first place doe is one that did not want to cooperate for me. Something 21, NC 21. She's a good head. She's a fair. I would like to shorten up her ears a little bit for the Dwarf Hoto breed. Her eye circles, I would like to see a little more evenness in those eye circles. They're a little bit light on the top half of that eye circle on both sides. She has a good shoulder and good midsection. Again, I'd like to see her high point back a little bit farther for her, adding her a little bit more depth. She does have width of body. Pretty good coat and condition on this doe. Yeah. Is that it?
Other purebreds, senior does, first place, Becky Kellick, Betty Lou. Second, April Little, Alex. Third, Becky Kellick, Browse. And fourth, Victoria Burkholder, Snuggles. Next class, other purebred breeds, junior does. 2 entries, Becky Kellick from Beans and Colin Roberts, Bubbles.
Right, for our junior, we're actually just discussing the Dwarf Hoto breed. They have to have the same eye color, and one of them has blue-gray on the top and brown on the bottom on one eye. So kind of. Okay, so second place we're going to go with a BC4. BC4, I just the body type better on the first place doe versus the second. This has the correct eye color. However, it's just a little bit longer in the body overall. I'd like to see its point back a little bit farther. I'd like to see some more width in that lower hindquarter. Pretty good head on this one. It's a little bit open in its ear. Pretty good eye markings on this one. It does feather a little bit at the back on both sides. I would like to see it just a little bit cleaner, a little bit darker in its color. And then the first place one, this one's winning on its body type. This is a BC3. Really like the body type on this junior doe. She's really nice and short, nice and deep. Really wide-based head on her. She has some width between those eyes. Again, her eye circles, they do feather just a little bit. There is some unevenness on that right, actually on right and left eye circles on the bottom side. But it has a little bit of a darker color to that second place doe. Interesting.
Other purebreds, junior doe, first place, Colin Roberts, Bubbles, and second, Becky Kellick, Beans. We're now ready to select our best of breed from the other purebreds. We need the winner from each of our senior and junior classes. We'll select best of breed and best opposite. And then we're ready to select our best of show. If you receive best of breed in any of our breed categories, please be ready to come to the table. Olivia Kiefer, Silver Fox, Senior Doe. Olivia Kiefer, Californian, Senior Buck. Corin Hetrick, Dutch, Senior Buck. Victoria Burkholder, Lionhead, Senior Buck. April Little, Flemish Giant, Senior Doe. Aubrey Watkins, New Zealand, Senior Buck. Emma Wagner, Mini Rex, Junior Doe. Tara Wagner, Satin, Senior Doe. Ellie Fulton, Himalayan, Senior Buck. Please be ready to come to the table for selection of best of show.
All right, out of all of our purebreds, even though I really like this junior doe, I love her body type. I'm going to judge this based on standards within the dwarf photo. Unfortunately, she does have incorrect eye color, so I would love to give her best of breed. However, I can't because you shouldn't, she's not to the standard of the dwarf photo breed. So my best of breed today, I'm going to go with the senior buck. My best opposite of breed will be the senior doe.
Other purebreds, best of breed, Colin Roberts, Senior Buck, Sir Butchie Von Whitney, MC Full, and best opposite, Becky Kellick, Senior Doe, Betty Lou. Colin, don't take Sir Butchie too far. You need him back at the table. We're ready to select our best of show. Again, if you won best of breed, come back to the table, and we'll be ready to select our best of show. As we work on finishing up our breed classes, we'll do meat pens next. Rabbit exhibitors, by order of the fair vet, remember you are dismissed tonight, but not until the conclusion of the rabbit skillathon. So everybody must stay on the grounds until the rabbit skillathon is completed. And then we need all rabbit cages cleaned, the area around them cleaned up, and then you are dismissed. Your premium checks, however, will not be ready until tomorrow night. So you are welcome to come back tomorrow night and get your premium check, or we can mail it to you.
all these kids a great round of applause for a really nice rabbit show. I want to thank the Shippensburg Fair for letting me come back again. Glad that you guys liked me last year. I was invited back to come back again this year. I really enjoy judging county fairs. My husband and I judge all across the state. He focuses on livestock. I focus on rabbits and master showman contests. So it's kind of nice to bring it all full circle. I started showing rabbits when I was 8. I continue to show rabbits even through college, and now as an adult I show, and I'm going for my judge's license this year. So really exciting stuff. ARBA is very competitive, and to be able to take your test, pass your test, and then go through assist, it's a very rigorous endeavor, but I'm really excited for the future, and hopefully I get to continue to keep judging. So really nice set of rabbits throughout. You kind of saw the 3 rabbits that I pulled out second for a second look, the silver fox, the Himalayan, and the satin. I really liked all 3 representations of each breed. It came down to just the point system. So if you don't already, definitely buy one of those ARBA standards books. That's going to give you all the basics of what you're looking for within your breed, looking at the point system, looking at condition of your animals, making sure you're taking care of them at home, and then when you get to the fair, you have that all-around project. So really great job for all the kids with all their exhibits. My reserve and show today is the Himalayan. Just a pop. And my best in show today is the satin.
Best of show goes to Taylor Wagner with her satin senior doe, and reserve best of show to Ellie Fulton with her Himalayan senior buck. Our banners today for Best of Show and Reserve are sponsored by Tractor Supply Company of Shippensburg. They're also providing prizes to all of our winners. Congratulations to everybody who showed. We'll get some pictures, and then we'll be ready to do our meat pens. So meat pen exhibitors, you're up next. All right, meat pens. We're ready for meat pens. We have Olivia Kiefer. Her meat pen weighing 13.79 pounds. Arbor Watkins, 14.31 pounds. Levi Rickard, 14.35 pounds. And Sarah Ziegler, 12.16 pounds. Our meat pens are actually part of our market livestock. So all 4 meat pens today will be selling on Saturday during the livestock sale. If you're interested in a chance to buy some meat rabbits, there'll be 4 pens for sale on Saturday. Each pen's got 3 rabbits. Our meat pens are sponsored by Brady and Rachel Seeley. So thank you very much to our sponsors and to our exhibitors, and of course to our judge, Miss Allie Rudy. Junior Rabbit exhibitors, we are going to do the Skillathon next. So if you're participating in the Youth Rabbit Skillathon, you're up next.
All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of time evaluating the meat pens. I'm really big on taking the time to evaluate them because it's not just the individual rabbit, but it's the three together. So, question for you guys, what is the most allotted points in a meat pen that you should be looking for quality-wise in your rabbits? What is the purpose of this project? To look at it? To eat it, right? Yeah, to eat it. So we are looking at the meat quality. That is the 40 points of your meat pen is the meat quality of your rabbit. So what I'm looking for is hard muscle, okay? We don't want fat, we want muscle. We want to eat it, okay? We don't want to eat fat, we want to eat muscle. So that's one thing to really keep in mind. Structure is also super important in your meat pen projects, okay? So making sure that they have the proper top line, making sure that they are structurally sound to be able to be a carcass on going down the road, okay? So just two really crucial things to keep in mind with your meat pens. What I really appreciate is all of these meat pens were extremely clean, so kudos to you guys for taking really good care of your projects throughout the summer. It gets really hot, especially in July, so like kudos to you guys. There's no stains, anything like that on them. Great job on that. Yeah, animal husbandry is super important with meat pens, especially making sure nice clean water is with them and weighing them constantly, okay? So what your goal is to get your rabbits within an ounce of each other. Really, really good meat pens are within 1 to 2 ounces per rabbit, okay? So if you can get all the rabbits the same weight, like gold star, that's really, really awesome. So definitely weigh your rabbits. And what you can do too, just as some tips for advice, is right before your fair, if you have 3 rabbits that you set aside for your market project and one is getting too heavy or too light, you can adjust it. So if your rabbit's too heavy and you want to slim it down, give it less feed, give it less, especially less water. Because the more water they drink, the more food they're going to eat, the heavier they're going to get, okay? So just keep in mind, nice, cool, really good ventilation, nice fans to really get your rabbits to grow really well. Firmness is really important, so there is one meat pen that I really appreciate, but they're a little bit soft in their overall body. So we want nice, firm rabbits. Same as any other species that you show, you want nice, firm, nothing soft, okay? So I'm going to go down the line. I'll talk a little bit about each of my placings and, you know, kind of where I was at in each of them. So my 4th place pen, I love Silver Fox. However, soundness-wise, there was one rabbit in this pen that just was unsound, and that's a big crucial part of this breed, or of market project in general, is making sure they're nice and sound. This rabbit just had a little bit of a structural defect. Nothing to take away from the pen. The pen was really well put together. They all had the silvering. They all looked pretty uniform in color. However, just as far as their structural issues, I can't get aside with that. They're also a little bit soft in condition. And I know Silver Fox is not the same as a Californian and a New Zealand, so I judge them based on the standard of that breed, not taking anything away from having a Californian or New Zealand. One rabbit was a little bit stronger than the rest. A couple of them were a little bit weaker topped. I would have liked to see some more depth and roundness throughout, stronger hindquarters on them. But great project for that exhibitor. My 3rd place pen is going to be this one here. So it's a JG11 is one of the tattoos. Really nice pen for this exhibitor as well. I did notice their weights were a little bit different. They weren't all very similar. Oh, sorry. Stylus. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, their weights, so they had 4.02 and then there was a large one at 4.12, so they were fairly close in weight. However, they're just a little bit on the smaller and softer side. I'd like to see a little bit more width of loin on them, especially because that's what the most value is on this project, is that loin, so that top. So just some more width, some more depth of loin. All of them were pretty balanced. Again, just work on just better flesh condition on them. For my reserve champion, it came between these two. So the weights varied between them, and that made it difficult. However, I was looking at the meat quality, especially on them. You know, this is a carcass going down on the road. So my 2nd place, I'm actually going to go, so between the two, there's a softer made pen, and then there's a heavier muscled pen. I'm going to go with the heavier muscled pen. They may not be very similar as far as their color goes. I'd like to see them a little bit stronger in points. However, I like their muscle ability a little bit better than the 2nd place. So our 2nd place pen is going to be this one here. So that is RJ41. Really nice pen. There was a stronger rabbit in that pen. The two were a little bit weaker. I wish they had a little bit more width of loin as well. Again, they're soft in condition. And if you have any questions on softness, so if you handle your rabbit and they don't have any firmness, they're not firm to the touch, that means that they're soft. So if you just kind of feel even their coat condition, they're very soft in their overall coat, that means that they're soft in body condition as well. So just getting that firmness on them, and it's hard especially for juniors to get that. My first place pen, I wish they were a little bit more uniform in color. However, they're all very uniform together as a team. They have a lot of width over their top. I'd like to give them a little bit more depth. Nothing to take away from winning your class. However, they're all pretty uniform in their body type. Really nice muscling on them, nice flesh condition as well. So congratulations to all.
Results of our meat pen. First place champion goes to Levi Rickard. Second place reserve champion, Aubrey Watkins. Third, Silas Ziegler. And fourth, Olivia Kiefer. Once again, all 4 meat pens will stay here the rest of the week and will be sold during the livestock sale on Saturday. We'll get a couple pictures, and then we'll be ready to set up and start the skillathon.